need a win by keeping a clean sheet and only score 1 or 2 goals. But today we didn't even need our clean sheet, but it's always good, I think, for the confidence for the last line, and goalkeepers and centre-backs really like this, and managers as well.
We didn't compete as we were thinking to compete today, and as the opponent has Liverpool the man. Today we have played against one of the best teams maybe now around the world in the current moment. But it's true that we have to better.
Your goal today was assisted by Mo Salah. Did he mean that little bit of skill?
I didn't see it back yet, but I think in the beginning of the attack was already smart from him not to go to the ball because he thought he was offside. Yeah. Then obviously Lucho made a great run in behind, passed it to Mo, and then maybe it was skill, maybe it was a little bit luck. I don't know. I have to see it back, but at the end the ball came to me through Mo, and I tapped it in.
You've coached 49 games, 27 with Liverpool, 22 with Feyenoord. In 2024, you've lost 1 of them.
Depends on the way you look at it. You could say I lost 2 because I lost the penalties against AS Roma, but over 90 minutes that was a draw. So compliments to Nottingham Forest. They were the one where we lost against.
Yeah, it really has been a remarkable year for Arne Slot and also for Liverpool. Danny, we've praised Liverpool a lot this season, but watching them today, you notice something that you feel really sets them aside from other top teams? Absolutely.
They've got more players than anybody else who are prepared to run in behind without the ball. It's incredible. It's obviously a tactic. There's a willingness from the players to do it. It takes energy, it takes commitment. This is early in the game. This is a great example. We see Andy Robertson. He's the left back. He's in a left wing position, inside left position. Watch his run. What that does is it pushes the defence back, of course, but he's not the only one here. Luis Diaz, who's been playing in this false 9 position and doing it brilliantly, always willing to run in behind. And that run there creates the space for Salah. We know he's always getting in the box in the right position. Should be 1-0. That was a warning. McAllister here, playing midfield. He's got the freedom to run forward. Good ball from Gomez. Again, sees the space. Doesn't quite come off this one. But what it does, again, is it pushes West Ham back. Gets Liverpool up the pitch. And we see so many players in the Premier League coming to feet all the time. Now, Mo Salah's probably the best in the Premier League at doing it, knowing when to run in behind and use his pace, especially when he's got Trent feeding him. But what a run this is from Curtis Jones. He's doing this more and more, playing in that advanced role, which Arne Slot's put him into. He's been sensational. Look at these two. Again in behind. Diaz making the runs, willing to use his energy. Salah again in there. They get away with it. He creates the first goal again. Good movement from Diaz here. Curtis Jones ahead of him. And Ash, you know as well as anyone how difficult this is to defend against.
Yeah, we spoke about it in the game, Danny. As a centre-back or any defender, you can see on this clip here that there's confusion. They don't know if they're playing offside. They don't know whether to stay with the runner, to go to the one that's going to feet. Great little bit of skill from Salah, and Gakpo gets his goal. But as you said, Liverpool are so dynamic in this. Salah, most players would come to feet here and show and want the ball to feet. But what a pass that is from Trent. And Salah's on his bike. As soon as he knows that someone's got their head up, the Liverpool players are all willing to run forward. And as a defender, it's so difficult because what you want is you want all of the players in front of you so you can see it, but it puts you in a little bit of confusion. And I do think that Liverpool are very excellent at that, as we've seen today.
The other thing is a lot of teams may have 1 player who does it, maybe 2 at the most. Liverpool have got 4 or 5. It's nearly impossible to defend when they're doing it like that. Yeah, Mo Salah could have had more than the goals that he did get today. And if we take a look at this, it's remarkable. The quickest to 30 goal involvements in the history of the Premier League. I'm running out of ways to ask questions about Mo Salah, Ashley, but very simply, not only is he the best in the Premier League right now, do you think, is he the best in world football right now?
Yeah, probably. I think so. I think that the numbers show that. And the way that he's playing, he played the game with a smile on... All day he had a smile on his face. He seems to be playing with some sort of freedom.
Great body language.
Yeah, he's just enjoying football. I think that's what, as a kid, you want to see players like him. And he's always going to pop up. He could have actually had probably quite an easy hat-trick today, and that goes to show how much he's enjoying it and getting himself into those positions.
You also can't have a Salah conversation at the moment without mentioning his contract. He spoke about it again after the game, and he said he's still not close to signing. What do you make of that, Danny?
It's Christmas Tea said that. I hope it's a little bit of game playing, if you like, in terms of the negotiation. Every Liverpool supporter wants him to stay. I've got a really positive feeling that he's going to stay and they'll get it done. It's just taking a bit of time. These things do when you're talking about huge amounts of money. But he he's the most important player Liverpool have at the moment. We've got to get him signed up.
What about a West Ham point of view on things then, Ashley? Because this isn't the first time they've shipped a number of goals at home this season. Heavy defeats to some of the top sides have become a bit of a habit, haven't they? It's worrying.
Yeah, it is. As good as Liverpool were, West Ham didn't really... they was never involved and they wasn't solid. They're trying to play a high line against what we've just showed. And this graphic that we've got on the screen now just shows they've got to start getting some clean sheets and stopping goals and being harder to beat, especially at home.
OK, then. Well, to Goodison next. Everton.
That's Arne Slot's record in all competitions since taking over from Jurgen Klopp in terms of the league. One more game to go and then we're at the halfway stage. Liverpool lead by 8 points already. And it's going to take an exceptionally good team to reel them in and some loss of form from Liverpool. Tim, I wonder from your point of view, from a manager's point of view, is the key the fact that he's actually changed so little? He's just done a little bit of tweaking here and there rather than any great revolution.
Yeah, I think so. The tweaking has come with Gravenberch, for instance. He's playing in that 6th position, gives him a little bit more balance and poise. Everyone was speculating he needed a player in that position. He's found one, and he was already at the football club. I think he's got a calm demeanour about him, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. We love Jurgen Klopp, but he was a big character, and then what I felt, for one, I was thinking, well, you don't want to follow him in there, but he's done it like a duck to water. I mean, he's absolutely magnificent the way he's took it. Everyone's happy at the football club. We've got 3 players, huge players. We keep talking about them out of contract. We're not talking about that really. You know, maybe there are whispers about it, but as soon as they keep winning, no one will even talk about that until the time comes where they sign their new deals or they leave the football club. I tipped up Arsenal, didn't I? And I think I was sitting on here, but I've seen them live now. I went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and saw them live, and I'm going to change my mind. It's theirs to lose. I mean, they are so strong off the bench as well. The firepower what they have. Mo Salah is a little genius. I mean, it's incredible. Van Dijk is like the player we saw 2-3 years ago. And Trent Alexander-Arnold, we're using them 3 as an example. He passes it better. He's like there with David Beckham with his range of passing. And they balance what they have through the midfield. And like I say, the firepower, the goals come from all different angles, not to mention the best goalkeeper in the world in Alisson. I can't see anyone getting anywhere near him.
And the fact that he's such a different character to Jurgen Klopp is actually a positive, isn't it? Because if he came in, and not by design, but he just were a sort of mini Klopp in the terms he was very voluble and very volatile and at times controversial, it'd be easy to compare him. But because he is so different in character, you know, he's just doing it his own way. He's just quietly going about his own business.
Yeah, one player that Tim didn't mention, Luis Diaz, I think he's starting to remind me, I mean, same but different in the way Firmino played the game. He's a different sort of player because he's tricky, but he's got a good football brain and he knows how to play the position. But yeah, I agree. I think the tweaks come from the style. I think the tweaks come from keeping hold of the ball a lot more patient, where Jurgen Klopp always said about heavy metal football. Be very interesting at the end of the season when you see distance covered, what the difference is between a Jurgen Klopp team and an Arne Slot side. But this is Luis Diaz getting his goal. And by the way, they could have been 4 up before they got the first. So the true reflection of this scoreline could easily have been 9 or 10. I thought they were that good. Luis Diaz involved again. Mo Salah with a brilliant bit of trickery. And alluding to your point there, Mark, as well, and it's difficult to second-guess the players and ask them how they're feeling, but they might just respond to a different voice, a calmer voice, where Mo Salah might like it a little bit more. Curtis Jones might like
Klopp
it.
was brilliant, but it must have been quite exhausting.
Yeah, but he had intensity about him, and he'd shout at the likes of Curtis Jones or shout at all of them. And all of a sudden, we've all played, me and Tim, in front of different managers or 4 different managers, and some respond differently, and some might respond a little bit better with a calming influence, more of an arm around the shoulder, tell them that they're great, put them in better positions, ask them and tell them to be a little bit more calm and enjoy the football, because as Tim said, when you look through the spine of the side and you look at every one of them, I mean, they're flawless. They're flawless in the Champions League. It's only Forest that's beat them in the Premier League. And they could have literally, if they wanted to today, I reckon they could have scored. I reckon they could have come away from this game thinking, we could have scored 9 today. They had chances in the first half and 4 or 5 in the second.
Don, he's the icing on the cake. I mean, he's incredible.
Salah.
The numbers what he's put up since he's been into the Premier League is just incredible. But he's smiling again. All of a sudden, I saw him growling. I saw him arguing. And it was at this stadium when he was arguing.
Yeah,
with
you remember
Jurgen
the famous
Klopp.
bit about, I better not say what I want to say.
Well, I
Him out of contract. I thought it was the beginning of the end for him at Liverpool. I really did.
I'd done a Liverpool comms in COVID, and obviously there was no fans in the stadium, so you could hear everything that was being said. And Jurgen was very vocal towards Trent, and Trent shouted back at the manager, and I thought, ooh, that looks a little bit sort of different, but they respected each other and they obviously loved each other. Maybe she's just seeing now a group of players who are just absolutely enjoying their football. The team's nailed it. You're looking at like Mo Salah and Jota and anyone, Diaz, go through right across the team. They're loving playing games.
I mean, Gakpo's having his best season in Liverpool shirt, isn't he?
There's a great example.
Yeah.
You know, a calmer Arne Slot to Gakpo. Yeah. He's got him playing at a completely different level.
He threatens a goal every time he plays, doesn't he? You know, he certainly, I stuck him and captained in my fantasy team. I mean, because he always affects the game. He drifts in from the left-hand side. He's not just in there to deliver crosses. He drifts inside and he threatens. Every time goals you've seen there, where they're going from the heart, they're going straight from the width of the goal, trying to thread passes through. You see Diaz trying to thread through. An easy pass there, but he tries to thread one through. It rebounds off the defender and he's in the middle of the goal and he just smashes it in the back of the net. They penetrate at every opportunity.
Look at that's quite a list to be on top of, isn't it? It says it all about Salah's contribution to the
team. I asked him before, and it's a great pub debate when you're in the pub with your pals and you're chatting. And if you stood all the three of the players, you stand Van Dijk and Salah and Trent, all right in front of you, and you could say to 100 people, who do you think should be first? Who would you sign first? I'm in the Virgil camp. But you could say Trent.
I'd say Salah.
You could say Mo Salah. And none of us are right.
No.
And none of us are wrong because they're all three genius players.
Yeah. Will they all stay?
2 of the 3 will stay.
Yeah, I think
2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf sang once upon a time.
I think from Trent's point of view, I mean, all we're hearing is whispers. We don't know, so we're second guessing. But
I wouldn't put it past him to win all 6 of those. And Forest are doing brilliantly, by the way. We're not riding off Nottingham Forest.
Trent's been at the club for 20 years, and he might just fancy a change.
Yeah.
But the feeling I get...
I think if you finish your career and you say, I played for Liverpool, Real Madrid and England,
I'm back to Liverpool again.
That's back to Liverpool. Listen, you played for West Ham and you played at Upton Park, and I went to Upton Park hundreds of times, many times. It was brilliant. The atmosphere, the intensity, the passion, the pride, all of that was missing today. All of that was missing, Don. It was a pale imitation of West Ham.
Bizarre, because a team that's been in OK form, not playing great, but unbeaten in 4. I thought they'd come into this game with a little bit of confidence and a little bit of organisation and a will to go and try and beat Liverpool. I played in the West Ham side against Liverpool when I moved on, scored a brace at Upton Park, had something to sort of prove. I looked at a West Ham side today and I just thought, and I've said it before, a bit pedestrian, a little bit slow. Some of the goals was lack of tackles, lack of effort, a lack of organisation. That's what I saw in the David Moyes, a team that was really organised, even though they took a couple of spankings, and he'll admit that himself. But there's teams now coming to the London Stadium, like Arsenal, who have been there twice and hit them a 6 and a 5 in the last season and a half. Chelsea went there and won 3, but that felt like it was a 5 or a 6. And I said Liverpool could have scored 9 today. There's something missing. I don't want to just keep saying it was the stadium when they lose the game, because stadium's the stadium, but it's not the same as Upton Park. It never ever will be. I'd wonder if just teams are going there like Liverpool in this big expansive stadium and thinking, let's go and play football today.
Yeah. OK, let's move on to...
We're lucky enough to have spent time with him. I mean, how good is he as a communicator? I mean, he's got 3 of his main players there, as we've been talking about, as everyone's talking about, who in 5 months have no contract at Liverpool Football Club as we sit here. You wouldn't think so, given his persona, would you?
No, and that's what I think. If you ask me, what do I like about him the most? It's his demeanour, his confidence, his control. Doesn't look flustered with anything. There will be things that will go wrong in his tenure at Liverpool. But if he handles them all like he's handled everything so far, then Liverpool are in real safe hands. But right from the first minute, we were 10 yards away from him as he stood on the side of the pitch for the first game of the season away at Ipswich. And we looked at each other and said, he just the signs, what he was saying, how he was acting when we spoke to him after, I just thought, this guy knows what he's doing. Now, there are going to be problems. He's walked into a great club with great players, all at the peak of their powers, all with winning mentalities, all with experience of being there, seeing it and done it. Of course, that's a great start when you're walking into a new club. And there are going to be things that go wrong. Maybe some of the star players leave at the end of the season. Who knows? So he's going to have some big challenges. But on all the evidence that we've seen so far, as I say, I think Liverpool have picked right, and I think they're in really safe hands going forward.
He's fussed without an umbrella. We know that touchline after a game at Anfield.
You sorted him, though, don't worry.
Yeah, we did, yeah. When you look at Mo Salah's numbers, as we saw before, another record today, 20 goals for 8 consecutive seasons in a Liverpool shirt. No one's ever done that. Even the great Ian Rush only managed 6. The consistency of the player.
Consistency, professionalism,
the will to get better. You know, we all saw him, and we remember, well, briefly when he was at Chelsea, then he went away, Fiorentina, Roma, heard noises of him, sounded like he was finding his groove, finding his rhythm, and he came back to Liverpool and a few eyebrows raised, but he has got better and better and better and better, and he looks so confident, so dominant in the position that he's in, and you wouldn't put it past him doing that for, if he signs a contract, obviously with Liverpool, for doing it a few more years to come. Incredible physically, mentally. He's making it look really, really, really easy.
Give us a sense as a striker to do that. Let's just say Ian Rush only managed 6 in a row and dropped below 20 in a couple of his seasons. To do that season in, season out, and have the desire and hunger to go again and hit those kind of consistent numbers.
Well, obviously I didn't hit those, so I mean, only he could probably explain it. But...
Did you even have 8 consecutive seasons at Liverpool?
I'm not quite sure.
No, I think it was a white shirt in Spain that took you away, so move on swiftly.
The reason he's like that is what's between his ears. All the greats, all the champions, they are wired differently to the rest. People can all say, oh yeah, I want to be the best player in the world, I want to score a goal. Of course you want to, of course you want to. But some people just do it and have the mentality to do it and have that eye of the tiger to do it. And every single breath that they take, every single time they go to bed, every time they sit at the meal table, it's an obsession. Whatever they're doing, whatever they're fueling their body with, whatever rest they're taking, whatever they do, they can't do it without being obsessed. What's next? When's the next training set? How am I going to get better? When's the next match? How am I going to recover to get fit for the next one? All of these things are just... And he lives in the gym. He lives for breaking records. He lives for scoring goals and that feeling it gives him. He lives for winning things. And everybody think they do. Everybody thinks they do. But they don't. You know, he absolutely lives for it, and his mentality is to be the absolute best. And he believes he's the best. He thinks he's the best in the world, no question about it. It's for us lot to debate who is and all that, and people up and down the country and all around the world to debate what we think, and it's assisted by numbers. But in his own little world, Mo Salah believes and thinks and knows he's the best player in the world. And as I say, it's not that he thinks it or he wants it or he hopes for it. He does it and lives it. And when everybody else thinks they're doing it, they're not. He is absolutely, you know, on it 24/7. And when he retires, he'll realise it himself that he was different to everybody else. But until that day, he just thinks that, you know, that this is it. And he's just tuned in that way.
You're feeling a little bit unloved there, so I've got them digging. 7 full seasons at Liverpool, and you hit 20 in 5 of them, which is remarkable.
That'll do.
You happy with that?
That'll do. Half qualified to answer the last question then.
And not for today, but he's just been asked on a slot, is he the best player in the world at the moment? He's got to be up in the greats of the Premier League, the way he's going, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's got to be up there. I mean, we will decide that, I think, at the end of his career. At the moment, I'm saying he's probably top 6 to have... Give it another season or two, he could shoot right the way through and be one of the best ever.
I feel a Matchday Live special show coming up. Yeah, difficult one for them. Conceded 5 at home to Arsenal, now 5 at home to Liverpool as well. And West Ham didn't have a shot on target today. The first time that has happened in 90-plus minutes of the Premier League in 3.5 years. So the obvious question is, where do West Ham go from here, Joe?
I honestly don't have the answer for that. They seem to put themselves in some really difficult positions, and then every now and again they'll put together some sort of run, you know, a scrappy win last game, just to kind of keep their head above the water. But it's a big club, you know, with spending a lot of money on good players, an incredible stadium. I've played in that stadium. I've been a part of it. I know we obviously talk about the previous stadium that they were in, Upton Park, and the atmosphere, but that's long gone now. That's not a conversation anymore. They're in a state-of-the-art stadium, you know, in the heart of London. It's difficult, you know, there's so much potential there, but it doesn't seem like anyone's able to really take control of it.
I mean, you shouldn't hark back, but this stage last season, they were 6th with David Moyes, and West Ham fans, we know, don't want to hear that, but £160 million later, here they are, not having a shot on target.
Yeah, they're finding it hard in recent years. As you mentioned, David Moyes, you can't not hark back to it because he was successful. He did win a trophy in Europe. and they keep trying to find somebody else, and it's not quite working, and they're throwing money at it. And you actually look at the squad, you look at the players. Joe touched on it there. They've got some really good players. I mean,
so are the players underperforming, or is the manager not getting as much as you should do out of that squad that's been assembled?
I would guess that it's a similar answer, similar question in many ways. Yeah, the players are underperforming, or the manager's not getting the most out of them, one or the other, but both is the answer. So he's under huge pressure now, I feel. I think there was murmurings, and Joe rightly said, when they're on the back foot, they tend to get a result that you don't expect, and all of a sudden that buys him another few weeks. But West Ham fans aren't happy with what they're seeing. It's not much fun seeing your team getting beaten 5-0 at home, even by a great team like Liverpool at the moment. I think his days are numbered unless something turns around quite quickly. Because this is a team that's been invested in. There's lots of money been spent around West Ham for a few years now. They have got better players than they're showing. And it's your job as a coach. If you've got the tools to do the trade, then people will forgive you if you've not got much good players and you're battling and scrapping for points. But when you've got the players that he's got, I mean, some of the attacking players, Kudus, Bowen, they're top class. They would walk into most teams. Paquetá, brilliant player. Souček gets goals. They've got a lot of sitting defensive midfield players that they've spent money on. Their wide players, are very talented too. I mean, it's a very good team, but they're not getting the right results. So, obviously, the axe tends to fall on the manager, and that's going to happen very soon, I fear, if he doesn't turn things around.
They are generally a more patient club, though, out of some of the others in the Premier League. You just wonder how much patience is left.
It's what they want.
They've lost 8 already, Joe.
You need to know what they want. You need to know what the objectives are for the season. Obviously that conversation is always going to come back to the David Moyes era of what he did recently with the team. But as Michael talked about there, obviously made some great movement with the Declan Rice, made some incredible money, looked to reinvest it. It's not quite worked. Coaches coming in. We look at the Pellegrini in between, the Moyes coming back. Something's not right. No one's really found the flow or the rhythm that the club has kind of set itself up to do at the moment. What else is out there, I don't know, but it's definitely a difficult moment for West Ham.
Yeah.
Particularly with the transfer window coming.
Well, that's the interesting bit, isn't it? Because owners have got that big decision now, haven't they? Do we stick with our manager? And if we don't let them spend any money, we're basically saying, yeah, we're sticking with you, but we don't really have any confidence in you. So you might as well just cut them loose there and then. Or you do it now and you say, you know what, it's not going well. We're going to keep our powder dry, employ somebody else and let them have the funds, back that new manager. So it's a difficult, precarious position at the moment, and West Ham and the board have got a few big decisions. They might let this one go and see what happens in the next game, but it can't go on much longer, I don't think.
We shall see. Michael, Joe, thank you very much indeed for your company. As always, we'll wait and see what happens there. One thing we do know for certain, there's only one team going into the new year top of the Premier League table, and by 8 points at the moment as well. Slot and Liverpool have the momentum and all the headlines. We'll see you soon.